Okay, so the announcement that we want to make, I think many of you uh, have heard of Gary Grahl. He was the founder. He was the founder of the Metropolitan New York Bus Association. I think it goes back to the early 1980s. Andrew Grahl is the program chairman. I don't know if he's on tonight, but
He's on. He's
he's
on.
on. Okay, great. Anyway, Gary was really a treasured friend and very knowledgeable rail and bus fan, and he really gave us Andrew. Um, he's going to be dearly missed, and what Eric's going to show us in a couple minutes is he's going to show us some memories of Gary. And if you don't recognize the name, you will definitely recognize the pictures. Before we do that, as we do with any longtime members and people who have contributed significantly to the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut rail or transit scene, we will have a brief moment of silence. So let's have a moment of silence, and then Eric will continue with the tribute. Okay, thank you all. Um, Eric, you can go ahead.
Okay. This is a picture I took a couple of years ago. This is April 6th, 1917. There's Andrew Grahl, there's Gary, and Ricky Carbone, a good friend of their family. This is at the Canal Street station on the end of the Q line. This is coming back from one of the many Metropolitan New York Bus Association trips that Gary was one of the main protagonists in running. This is on one of those trips. Here's Gary over here. Everybody see the mouse over here? The cursor? Right. Yeah. What would happen on those trips, various people that own vintage buses would show up. There's Dave Robinson, this is Mr. Rice, and Mr. Carpenter, and a few other people. But here's Gary over here. This was way back on August 18th, 1997. This is 24 years ago. This is in Lévis, Quebec, just outside Montreal. And that's Gary probably looking at somebody, wondering what they're doing. You can see by the look on his face. This is in Cleveland. There's Carl Stricker here. There's Gary. There's Bob Kingman. There's Dave Ross. And this is a 20-year-old Andrew Grahl. And this is Bob Newhouser right here. This is August 21st, 1995. That's in Cleveland, Ohio. Go back 3 more years. This is April 4th, 1992. There's Gary. This is almost 30 years ago now. That's Dave Ross, Glenn Smith, Bill Erlin. There's Carl Stricker. This is December 14th, 1991 on another MNYBA, Metropolitan New York Bus Association trip. There's me there with, I don't know what's going on with my hair there. There's Christina Alexis, Nick DeBarry. There is Andrew, and he is 16 years old in this picture. There's Randy Glucksman, there's Gary, there's Randy Litz. Now we're in Syracuse. This is August 27th, 1989. Here's Gary. And here's a 14-year-old Andrew Grahl. There's Carl Stricker, Alan Hannock, Eddie Gibbs, a few others. And this is the oldest picture I have of Andrew. This is on the R-17 fan trip of November 8th, 1987. This is the Bury Avenue station. pardon me. There's a 12-year-old Andrew Grahl and a 52-year-old Gary Grahl. There's Mr. McGinty, Willie Rosenberg, John Van Buskirk, David Robertson, Mike Duran. There's Joe Garicki, and you've probably seen this name all over the internet, Joe Testergross. I sold him a slew of slides back around 2000, and I gave him permission to put him on the internet. And here's a young Ron Yee right here. There's Noah Kaplan. And this is a classic Gary Grahl pose on all the MNYBA trips. He would blow the whistle and you better get on the bus or you will be left behind. And all of those trips were well attended. That's in Holyoke, Massachusetts on June the 24th, 1995. I showed these slides 2 years ago at an ERA meeting, but now we have a much bigger attendance, about 4 times that much. So there's Gary. This is October the 2nd, 1981 at an ERA meeting. It's Carl Stricker. There's the late Bernard Linder right there. There's Randy Litz. There's Bill Mangahas. He puts out those wonderful calendars. There's Ray Berger. There's Roger Arcara, Howie Rose. Frank Goldsmith is here. This is the other side of the room. This is October 2nd, 81. As you can see, our club's been around a while. Here's Jack May. There's a very young Ron Yee. It's Nesta Daniluk, Len Smith. And there is Bruce Lane right there. Frank Goldsmith and Ray Berger, we used to have yearly auctions, and Frank is holding up one of the items to be auctioned here. And the late Jerry Landau, he was the treasurer at the time. He was keeping track of all the bids and the money coming in and out for the auction. This is the oldest picture I have of an ERA meeting. This is November the 20th, 1970. Here's a 35-year-old Gary Grahl right here. This is a Mr. Frank Parco, late Frank Parco. Here's Roger Arcara. And here's Arnold Joseph, for those that remember him.
Look at the suits. Everyone is wearing suits.
Yes, yes. Now, this is April 1968. Anybody recognize this person here? That is Michael Glicken. And here's Ray Berger, Eddie Gibbs. Mike Glicken joined the ERA on February the 27th, 1964. He's been around a bit.
Jerry Landau is poking his head out behind Ray Berger.
Right. This was a board meeting of the ERA, January 4th, 2017. That was the current board. Sandy Campbell does a lot of work for the ERA, and the Manhattan Elevated book and Headlights and the Brooklyn Elevated book would not be published without him. And for those that are wondering, the Brooklyn book hopefully will go to the printer this week. It's been a lot of work. 2020 offered a lot of challenges, as you know, to everyone, and it offered the challenges to me and Sandy and everyone else that was working on the book. This is the late John Pappas. He did a lot of work for the ERA over the years. Ron Yee, Michael Glicken, Jeff Ehrlitz, Bob Newhouser, and Robert Colifari. And that was your board as of January 2017. But there's a new board member now. Sasha Ivanoff is here. And we have Noah Kaplan and Jeff Ehrlitz here. They're doing a lot of behind the scenes work for the ERA right now, clearing out the archives in the storage lockers that we have up in Inwood, consolidating them, and they're saving the ERA literally thousands upon thousands of dollars a year. And here is Mike Schiffer, who I know is watching the show tonight. And Mike works for Metro North, and Mike is one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. I've met a lot of people too. Okay.